Right, everyone, today we are chatting to Oskar Månsson, Editor-in-Chief of Football Stockholm, a site that covers AIK, Djurgården and Hammarby. Probably a good time, Oskar, for me to apologise for the pronunciations. I've probably got them all wrong so far. Thank you so much for giving up some of your time to chat to us from Cyprus.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here for Djurgården's playoff game. They're playing the second leg in the playoff game to the Europa League tonight against Apoel. And Djurgården are up 3-0 from the first game, so we expect them to go through, which would be a big thing for the club actually, because they haven't succeeded in Europe for ages.
Yeah, it must be big for Swedish football as well, getting a team in the group stage. Does that happen often?
No, it
Apart from Malmo,
Malmö,
probably. Yeah.
Malmö has had a good run, and they've been to the Champions League 3 times and the Europa League for a couple of times. But otherwise than that, it's very unusual for Swedish team to succeed. And now it's the Europa Conference League, as I mentioned. So it's like the sea level of the tournaments. But still, that would be a big thing for Swedish football.
Yeah, we know all about Malmo. So do Rangers, I think, last season. Hibs as well.
Maybe we shouldn't talk about that, because I'm from Malmo myself. So, let's talk about Haksabanovic instead.
Yeah, just before that, actually, you were mentioning to me just before we started that you've actually been to a derby match. You've been to a game at Ibrox, and it's one of the most famous Celtic wins in the last 15 years or so. The one when Samaras scored a double. We call it Sammy Sunday, and you were lucky enough to be there that day.
Yeah, it was a fantastic game. I was in Glasgow a couple of times to write about Freddie Ljungberg when he signed for Celtic. So and then I saw some kind of cup games in on the other side on the border in Berwick.
I was there.
Yeah. All right. Okay. And
that was his debut that day.
That's right. Yeah. So I was there, and then I was lucky enough to see this game, which was spectacular.
Yeah, amazing day. Subject of today's video isn't Georgios Samaras, it's Sead Haksabanovic, the Rubin Kazan winger who is set to become Celtic's latest signing. The latest that we heard from Mark Hendry last night was that Haksabanovic was in London having a medical. There may be more news by the time you're watching this. He may even have been confirmed as a Celtic player. Oskar, you've been watching Haksabanovic for a long time, I think. What are your thoughts on him signing for Celtic?
Well, I don't know what Celtic need. I think that's the key question, because he's a very specific type. He's playing as a left winger who likes to cut in, and he's when he's in good shape, he's scoring a lot of goals, and he can provide assists. So maybe I should ask you back what Celtic need in that position.
It's a strange one, because if he's a left winger, we're quite well sorted for left wingers. We've got Jota, who is probably our best player at the moment. He has been playing on the right mainly this season, because we've got another player, Japanese player Daisen Maeda, who plays on the left-hand side. So we have two really good left wingers, although Jota has been playing on the right. So some fans are a little bit surprised that Haksabanovic's name has been mentioned, but he does seem like different to the other two. Maeda and Jota both, quite like to run down the wing. Haksabanovic seems like he's, from all of the video clips I've seen, he does a lot of cutting inside, running into the play, very right-footed. So maybe he's something a bit different to what we've got, and maybe that's the reason why we're going for him. And maybe the fact that he can play in a number of positions as well. Can he play, kind of attacking midfield as well?
Well, he can, and I think if you ask him himself, he would say, "No problem, I can play as a number 10." But all offensive players say that. So, and well, as you mentioned, I followed him for many years, and well, if you follow Swedish football, you couldn't miss him. He was kind of a wonder kid when he was 16 and he playing for Halmstad. He was almost instantly one of their best players, and he was he was among the most promising players in a special Swedish generation with Dejan Kulusevski and Alexander Isak and Joel Asoro, which I will mention later in this conversation, since he is kind of the replacing Jogonen. He has had a strange career, but there's something going on now. But yeah, so he was a wonder kid, you could say, but his career has made a lot of strange decisions, in my opinion, and I think he would been in a bigger club and with a higher status right now if he had taken better decisions the last years.
Like going to West Ham?
Yeah, that was a stupid decision, because West Ham was a chaotic club at that moment, and well, it was not hard to see that he was just that he wouldn't get any playing time, and he would just waste a couple of years in his career, and that was exactly what he did. So that was a good example of that, and also he's kind of, there are no disciplinary problems with him whatsoever, as far as I know. But I think he's kind of immature as a person. And in West Ham, he had Marko Arnautovic as kind of a mentor, and I think that says something, because Arnautovic is like a super diva, and well, not the person I would take advices from in that situation, if you get what I mean. So but a very talented player, and I think if he comes to the right environment, and if he gets appreciated for who he is, and a lot of playing time, I think he will get much better than he is today, and then I think he will be a good player in the Scottish League with no doubt.
Yeah, he's only recently turned 23 years old. He's had that spell at Halmstad, came through their youth academy, played a bit for them, signed for West Ham. He's had a loan spell at Malaga, back to Sweden with Norrköping. Then he signed for Rubin Kazan for around €6 million 12 months ago, very briefly a teammate of Karel Starfelt, before the invasion of Ukraine allowed him to unilaterally suspend his contract. So he moved back to Sweden with Djurgården. And he's done all of that by the time that he's 23. So to me, looking at him, he looks like a guy who needs to find a home. He needs to find a club that he can call home. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. And he played his best football in Sweden when he was in Norrköping, especially the second season. And then he had time to adapt and to find his role, and he was a star player basically in that team. And then he produced a lot of points. So yeah, no doubt. And as you said, he like a loan spell in Malaga, and unlucky in Russia, of course. In that perspective, it's so maybe it's debatable to go to Russia in under any circumstances, but of course you couldn't know what's going to happen. Yeah, and so I think there's a lot of potential in him still, even if he's been around for 7 years, and he's a technical player. Obviously, he's a good finisher, and vision, and passing as well. So and he hasn't that many weaknesses, to be honest. It's more a question of, okay, what level could he reach with his skills? So yeah,
So
could go either way if to if you want some kind of guess from me how it's going to end up in Celtic.
Okay, well, our manager since he came in 12 months ago has signed probably 15, 16 players, if not more, and the vast majority have been successes. One thing that he looks for in all of the players is a real hunger to improve every single day, and he signs good footballers, but he also signs good, well motivated people. He's obviously spoken to Haksabanovic and got good vibes from Haksabanovic. So hopefully it's going to be, a case of Haksabanovic coming in and just improving his game and maybe reaching heights that he didn't even know he could reach. What kind of player is he? See when he's at his best, what will Celtic fans be seeing?
Well, then they will see a dominant player who likes to have the ball a lot and to take a lot of initiatives, and as we mentioned before, he likes to cut in and shoot basically, and I think he should be that. He's not a substitute type. Okay, maybe he can do good substitutes in the beginning, but in the long term, I think he should be a main man to flourish. But he's a very very gifted player, so he's fun to watch.
Can he play on the right hand side?
Yeah, he can, he can, and then he's in that case he's playing more as a traditional winger, since he's right-footed. But I don't think he is as good as a right winger.
When he returned to Sweden in March, he went to Djurgården. Was he the same player that you'd seen before at other clubs in Sweden?
Yeah, he was. First of all, it was a big surprise that he came back to Allsvenskan. Even the time he turned back to Norrköping, when they bought him for very big money for being a Swedish club. It was around, well, 1.5, 2 million pounds just as a transfer fee, which is unusual in Sweden. So that was a big thing. And also he went to Norrköping, and they won the league quite recently, but they aren't among the biggest team in Sweden. They're kind of they're top half, but not the biggest. So that was a surprise that he went back to Sweden, and when he came back to Djurgården, that was an even bigger surprise because when he was playing in Russia and things were starting to go well, there were rumors of him going to Italy or Spain and so to the biggest league. So and the reason he came back to Sweden and to play for Djurgården this spring was, of course, of the Russian invasion of Ukraine and the strange circumstances for the foreign players in the league. So Djurgården, they wanted to keep him for the rest of the season. The Swedish league is playing spring autumn, so have played 2/3 right now. So Djurgården, they of course wanted to keep him, but they realized that it wasn't that realistic because they surely knew that Sead would want to go to a bigger club.
Another thing that our manager looks for from players, especially attacking players, is a real defensive work rate and a willingness to win the ball back quickly. It's a non-negotiable. They have to do it. Will Haksabanovic run for the team defensively?
Yeah, I would say he do that. Maybe that isn't his specialty to recover the ball and to be able to press high and so. But he that's no problem. That's not an issue. It's not a lazy offensive number 10 star player. So that won't be a problem.
Is he quick?
He's quite quick. He's good at dribbling especially in he's quick in short distances. Maybe he isn't that type of player that runs in behind that much. He hasn't that kind of pace, and that's a little bit ironic in Djurgården, because he was a star player this spring, or the biggest name in the team, I would say, and he had that role that he played as a left winger, and with a lot of freedom to be creative, and he was doing okay, but the fact is that the team worked better without him. So when he left a couple of months ago, the team started to work better, and I think that was because the team is really stable. It's working really well in its foundation, so to speak. But the offensive players haven't been in that good shape this season. But then all of a sudden they just got into the zone. And Joel Asoro, as I mentioned, who was he was at Sunderland when he was very young and was playing in Premier League when he was 17, and then the career has been really strange. But then he went also back to Sweden, and he went to Djurgården, and this summer he has gotten his big breakthrough, and really likes to run in behind, to like push the opponent's defenses down, and that creates spaces for the other players, and that has in my opinion been a key factor for Djurgården's game. And I think if Haksabanovic would have played on the left and Joel Asoro on the right, the new Joel Asoro, which create those spaces, I think Sead Haksabanovic would have been flourishing and been the big star. So just to give an example what kind of type he is and what kind of players he needs around him.
That is interesting, because our game plan has been for the wingers to run long and to stretch the game. And if he seems like he's not going to do that as much, it's maybe just something different that the manager wants. He wants a different option and someone who can play in a number of positions as well. Anything else that springs out from his game? I mean, for example, does he take set pieces?
Yeah, he does, but I wouldn't say he's a specialist. That's always depending a lot of status in the team, as you might know. So maybe he wouldn't get that kind of status in Celtic immediately. I don't know who's the.
We're not. Well, I was going to say we're not great at corners, but we're in set pieces. But we've actually this season we've actually been really good for some reason. We've scored. I think we've scored like 4 goals from corners so far this season. So maybe we're improving. But yeah, is there anything else? You know, I mean, have you ever come into close contact with him? What kind of person is he?
Yeah, I've spoken to him a couple of times, and he's as I said, he's a little bit immature, and at least I think he has been, and I don't think he has had the best advisors around him. As we mentioned, West Ham is a good example, and also he chose to play for Montenegro instead of Sweden. And before he took that decision, he was talking about it. It's like 50-50, but then Montenegro, well, I don't know if there was their coach or some from the football association or what it was, but they were trying to convince him to play for the team. They were very eager, and they were in contact with his father, who is from Montenegro, and his father was talking to his childhood heroes, and I think that was the factor that made him choose Montenegro. And that decision could only be your personal decision, of course. But I think since he said that it was close to 50-50, I think the sports, or I think just the factor of which team is better would be important. And it's a big difference between Sweden and Montenegro, of course, in terms of chances to get into championships and so on. On the other hand, I don't think he would have been a national player in Sweden at this moment, because Sweden has quite good offensive players at the wingers, with Kulusevski as an name before, and Emil Forsberg, who's been very good in Bundesliga for many years. So, but let's say if he continues to develop, maybe in Celtic then, and makes 2 good seasons, he would definitely could have the capacity to be a player in the Swedish squad. But that's just theoretical now.
Yeah, he's worn number 99 at a few clubs. Will we see that at Celtic?
Well, that's because he's born 99, obviously, but yeah.
Clearly not, obviously, because I hadn't realised that. but thanks for that.
Okay, yeah. That's the reason. And but obviously he likes that number himself. So I don't know how the tradition is with those hockey numbers, as we say in Sweden. We're a bit myself. I am a little bit conservative regarding shirt numbers, so I think that's more hockey for me to have a 99 or 88 or 77 or something like that.
Well, 88 would work well, because 1888 was our founding year. Right, so I'm just checking, and we have got 9 is available, but it doesn't strike me as a 9. Number 10 is taken by Albion Ajeti at the moment, but he might leave the club, but probably not before Haksabanovic is announced. 88, sorry, is Josip Juranovic. How did I forget that? But 67 is available, or 99 if he fancies it. So it might be interesting.
Yeah. Maybe 99 then, again.
Yeah, that'd be good. So final thoughts. It's not hit or miss, but it could go either way. The way you see it, it could be a real success, but possibly not. Is that your kind of conclusion?
Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, maybe it's not a very interesting conclusion. Could go either way, but he has the potential to develop a lot more, without doubt, and he's a very gifted player, and but he needs to. I think he needs to get into an environment where he feels appreciated, and where he gets a big role, and that the role at the pitch will suit his qualities. So I think it's depending on those kind of factors. Well, if the answer is triple yes to those questions, I think he will be a very good signing for Celtic for the coming years.
I think yes. I think he might, because he's going to come he's going to be loved. I mean, any new signing is loved at Celtic. He's coming into a really good group. You know, the players, you know, the environment the players are playing in is just so strong at the moment. They're enjoying their football. He's going to come into a really welcoming environment where he's expected to work hard, but if he works hard, he'll get his rewards. You know, he's coming into potentially the Champions League in a couple of weeks. We've got a game against Rangers in less than 2 weeks, so he's coming into big matches if he is going to, you know, come in right away. So if he starts well, you know, I think he could do really well. But even if he doesn't start well, you know, I mean, Karl Starfelt didn't start particularly well, and he's become, you know, quite an important player for us. So I think he'll do well. We'll take it as a yes, Oskar. We'll take it as a yes.
All right.
You're saying massive success.
Let's say yes.
Yeah. Listen, thank you so much for joining me and giving me a little bit of insight on Haksabanovic. I'm sure everyone's found it really, really interesting, and we'll maybe speak soon. Thank you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you and good luck yourself.